The Phillies dance on their own into the NLDS where they'll meet the reigning world champion Braves. How did the Phils get here and what do they need to do to dethrone Atlanta? This episode of the Phillies Sports Spot YouTube channel starts right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome into this edition of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. I am your host, Jordan Hirsch, and now, guys, before we get into this video, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel with notifications turned on so you never miss another upload. Make sure you guys are also following me on Instagram. The link will be in the description below. So the Phillies break out the brooms and sweep the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis, winning both games Friday and Saturday to advance from the wild card series to the NLDS, winning on Friday 6-3 in a wild one, and then Aaron Nola dominated in Game 2. Phillies win that game 2-0. So let's get right into recapping this series as the Phillies found themselves down 2-0 entering the 9th inning in Game 1. Juan Yepez's 2-run pinch hit home run off Jose Alvarado gave the Cardinals that 2-0 lead in Game 1, and it looked like the Phillies offense was kind of just going to roll over and accept defeat in that first game, but that did not happen. After a Rhys Hoskins strikeout in the 9th inning, JT Realmuto, a little bloop single, Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos both walked. That loaded up the bases with only one out, and it was obvious that Ryan Helsley had completely lost the strike zone. He then hits Alec Bohm with a pitch. Phillies only down one run now, 2-1, and then Gene Segura, who had the longest active drought of playing regular season games without playing in the postseason, steps up to the plate and delivers with a 2-run RBI single under the glove of Tommy Edman into right field. Phillies take that 3-2 lead. Dugout's going wild. Xfinity Live is going wild. Everybody around the Delaware Valley is going wild as the Phillies take that 3-2 lead. Phillies would then add 3 more on. Bryson Stott on a hard ground ball diving stop by Paul Goldschmidt, but cannot throw the speedy and former Cardinal Edmundo Sosa out at home plate. Phillies go up 4-2. Then a ball eludes Platinum Glover winner Nolan Arenado and goes into left field off the bat of Brandon Marsh. Gene Segura comes around to score. Phillies take a 5-2 lead. Kyle Schwarber would add on a sac fly to make it 6-2. Cardinals did score 1 run in the 9th on a Nolan Gorman RBI single, which brought the tying run to the plate in the form of the first ballot Hall of Famer Yadier Molina, but Zach Eflin strikes him out and the Phillies take Game 1. They go up 1-0 in the series. They come right back in Game 2. Aaron Nola was dealing 6 2/3, 0 earned runs, back-to-back games for Nola going 6 2/3 and not allowing an earned run to score. Bryce Harper kicked off the scoring in the second with a 435-foot Michael K. See ya home run. Phillies go up 1-0 and add on one more. Kyle Schwarber, another sacrifice fly. Phillies didn't have the best situational hitting in that game. They had a few chances, actually, with a runner on third and only one out and could not score. But Aaron Nola and the bullpen, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Zach Eflin in this case, shut down St. Louis as the Phillies win that game 2-0. It got scary in the 8th and 9th, of course, when Dominguez came in. I think, like a lot of people, were kind of thinking, oh, here we go. But he was able to strike out Paul Goldschmidt, the potential NL MVP, and then Nolan Arenado, one of the best players in the game. Zach Eflin gets out of a little trouble there in the 9th, and the Phillies sweep the Cardinals, and now their attention turns to the 101-win division champion, reigning world champion Atlanta Braves as they get the first crack in these playoffs to dethrone the Braves. And who's to say they can't do it the way they are going right now? Their pitching looks fantastic. The offense has been there too. Most of the time, and the Phillies are going to need all of that to kind of come together as they head into Atlanta starting tomorrow. Game 1 and 2 times have both been announced. They will be at 1:07 Game 1 and 4:35 Game 2. Both games will be on Fox. Games 3 through 5, 4 and 5 if necessary, have not been announced. However, all those games would be on FS1. But back to Game 1, it's going to be Ranger Suarez against Max Fried. That's also where the sweep really helps the Phillies. They did not have to use Ranger Suarez in Game 3 and now can use him in Game 1 against Atlanta. And he has really good numbers against the Braves this season. His last 2 starts, in fact, 12 innings, only 1 earned run in those 12 innings. Phillies only won one of those games, unfortunately. But Ranger Suarez really pitched well and dominated a very good Atlanta lineup, and the Phillies are going to hope that he can replicate that tomorrow afternoon. Phillies have also announced their starters for games 2 and 3. Game 2 starter will be Zach Wheeler, followed by Aaron Nola in game 3. Atlanta has yet to announce their starters for games 2 and 3. Most likely, I think it will be Kyle Wright, the National League and MLB wins leader, going in game 2, and I think that Charlie Morton probably gets game 3. Then after that, for both teams, it's really anybody's guess if we get to that, if necessary, game 4. But now we will also get that home playoff game in game 3 as well. But here for game 1, I mean, it's going to set the tone for the series. And the Phillies have played all right against Max Fried. They have not scored a ton of runs, but they put together some really good at-bats and knocked him out early in ball games. I think that's got to be the same approach that the Phillies have this game 1 tomorrow. So I think that's really gonna have to be how they do it. It's gonna have to be a close game throughout, and the Phillies are gonna have to attack Atlanta's bullpen, which is one of the best in the majors. Of course, the playoffs are not supposed to be easy, and this is not an easy team to face, especially on the pitching side. So the Phillies are really gonna have to bring their A-game offense in this series. And I really do think they can bring their A-game offense into this series. I do think Bryce Harper might be starting to wake up, and he would be a major, major key to this offense. Of course, he works that walk in the 9th inning on Friday's game, and I really thought that was the first time in a long time that he was really seeing pitches. I thought he was really able to spit on some of those curveballs and really just lay off those fastballs that were on the outside corner a bit off from Helsley and work that walk. And then he follows that up with the home run and then the single the other way in game 2. So, I mean, if Bryce Harper can get hot right now, this team can be very, very dangerous, especially with some of the other guys that have been clicking. Kyle Schwarber has been striking out less. Fortunately, he had 2 sac flies, so some good situational hitting there. How about Alec Boehm with a couple of doubles? I mentioned it on Thursday when I was doing my wild card preview. And I said that Alec Boehm, I thought that he was going to be an X factor for the Phillies in that series, and he was in ways. I mean, he had a couple of doubles, a couple of big doubles, came around to score on one of them in game 2, and he was really, I think, a major key for that offense, hitting behind guys like JT, Harper, and then Nick Castellanos as well. So Alec Boehm, I think he's probably going to be an X factor again in this series. I mean, if he was kind of that guy to kind of kickstart the offense in the wild card series, I see no reason why he would not be that guy here in the NLDS as well. So I think look for Alec Boehm. Look for Gene Segura as well. Segura had a very good series. 2 RBIs against the Cardinals in his first playoff series, in his first playoff game there, they both came. And I think that Gene Segura, he seems like a guy on a mission, and he seems like a guy that is very determined not only here just to get to the playoffs, but to go deep into the playoffs. So Gene Segura, another guy to watch out for. Somebody the Phillies have to get hot, I think, is Rhys Hoskins, batting in that 2-hole no hits in the Cardinals series. Phillies didn't really need him to get hits, obviously, but I think he's going to have to wake up if the Phillies want to have a chance to beat the Braves this week. Kyle Schwarber, again, not too much to complain about him. His situational hitting has been a lot better. Of course, the power numbers weren't there in the first series, but I'm still not super worried about Schwarber. And yeah, I think that's really going to be the key to the series is can this Phillies offense crack the code of the Atlanta Braves starting staff and bullpen, and if they can, they could certainly advance. Of course, some other major Phillies news from earlier today is that they did take the interim tag off of manager Rob Thompson and sign him to a 2-year deal through 2024. So Rob Thompson is here to stay for at least the next 2 seasons, and that is well deserved. Not only was he able to turn this team around, but he was able to get them in the playoffs and now into the NLDS, into the MLB's Elite 8. Rob Thompson certainly deserves this chance to be the Phillies' full-time manager, and I think this team, let's hope this team can really kind of use this as even more momentum and even more fight in this series. Of course, they're going to now have this. They're going to have play in front of the home fans, which, by the way, both of those games are sold out, but there are resale tickets. The lowest I've seen for Game 1 is $186, lowest for the second game in Philly, which would be Game 4 if necessary. is $123. So get those tickets while you can, because we've got to sell out. If there's 2 games, sell out both games. If there's just one, sell out the one game. It's got to be rocking. Come on. This is going to be the first Phillies home playoff game in 11 years, and it should be rocking down there in South Philly. So the Phillies will certainly have that to play for, along with the Rob Thompson news. And I think the Phillies really do have some momentum and some fight going into this series in Atlanta, and sometimes that's what you need. MLB playoffs are wacky, and I think we certainly saw that this weekend with the wildcard series. I mean, who had the Mets losing that series? I know I didn't, and I am happy that they did, of course, but it just goes to show you just how wacky that the MLB playoffs can be. I've always said that I think that Major League Baseball's playoffs are the most unpredictable postseason than any other sport. I think it's far more, I think NBA, NHL, NFL are all far more predictable than MLB, because just a lot of weird things can happen. You have unknown heroes step up a lot in the playoffs in Major League Baseball. I mean, how about Jerks and Profar with a huge series up there at Citi Field this weekend? And I think it's just, the playoffs open the door for maybe guys who you've never even heard of before to become household names. And that's going to kind of get me into the prediction for this Phillies-Braves series. Now, everything with my brain is saying, oh, the Braves are going to win this series. The Braves are the better team. The Braves are reigning world champs. The Braves won the season series from the Phillies 11-8. The Braves have more experience. However, I'm going to go with my heart in this series, and I'm going to say the Phillies win it. I'm going to say the Phillies win it in 5. I think that this does come down to Game 5 if the Phillies are going to win this series. Again, it's another series, just like the St. Louis one, that I thought could go either way, but I will say the Phillies win it in 5, because MLB's playoffs can be so wacky, and you just never know what's going to happen. I think the Phillies certainly have the pitching, and I think that their offense can back it up as well. So Phillies in 5. And then also just one more thing to touch on. If you did watch the Phillies champagne celebration after the wild card series, you probably heard a couple of songs, including the song "Dancing on My Own" by Callum Scott. It's the Tiesto remix to a cover song by Robin. So of course that song has now kind of become connected with the Phillies in a sense, and of course, also Dua Lipa and Elton John's Cold Heart PS1 remix. You could also hear playing in the background for the Phillies, both the Phillies celebrations, the one in Houston and then the one in St. Louis. And there's an article here on MLB.com by Phillies beat writer Todd Zolecki that basically just says that these songs were not, they're not just playoff songs. These songs have actually been played in the locker room basically the entire season, and that Garrett Stubbs has been the DJ for the Phillies really this entire season, and that those 2 songs, along with a few others, this article says, have been staples in the Phillies locker room whenever they win. It also was noted that before Game 1, the song Cold Heart by Elton John and Dua Lipa was playing during batting practice, and it kind of got the Phillies fired up. Says here that they sang along on the field. So a couple of songs that could become anthems in this city if the Phillies are able to knock out the Braves this week, and I would not have a problem with that. I think this team really could use another anthem. Of course, the Eagles have their anthem with the Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill. These 2 songs a little more laid back, but would still be cool to have a couple of anthems here for the Phillies in the playoffs. And alright, that is going to wrap things up for this edition of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. Again, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to my channel with notifications turned on so you never miss another upload. I typically post every Saturday, however my upload schedule this month, it seems to be all over the place, just according to where the Phillies are in the playoffs. So really make sure you have those post notifications turned on so you never miss another upload. You can also follow me on Instagram. The link will be in the description below, or you can just look me up. It's at Philly Sports Spot. That's PhillySportSpot. So just one S between sport and spot. And until next episode, guys, let's go Phillies. We've got an NLDS in the city of Philadelphia, and we're going to have a Phillies playoff home game. Let's get these fans out, get them excited, and go Phils!